XPS. I'm Richard Neowin. Today we're unboxing the Dell XPS 13. So this was originally announced at CES this year.
And it's got a big change from the previous models, which is that the webcam is now above the display. And that's kind of a big deal because they always put the webcam below the display. And here's the thing, right? I asked them for years. Every time they came out with a new one, they brief me on it. And I go, is the webcam still below the display? And they'd say yes. And I'd say, why? And they'd say, well, how often do you use the webcam on your PC? And of course I say never, you know. And on their business laptops, the webcam was always above the display, whatever, you know. And but the point is I never use it. So the idea is that they prefer to have the immersiveness of narrow bezels over having the webcam above the display. And I mean, it makes sense, but I also think, like, you might as well not even have a webcam at that point. And if you ever use one, also on the Huawei MateBook X Pro, where the webcam is in the keyboard and it flips up, it just kind of looks up at you. It's terrible. You can't do a video call with that. So now they made a tiny, tiny webcam, and now it goes above the display. So that's the big new feature. It's still got an 80.7% screen-to-body ratio, tiny bezels. This model is the Core i7 and the 4K display. I don't know the rest of the specs, so that's going to be a nice surprise. I love it when companies send me machines and I don't know the specs because it's a little surprise for me when I open the box. I don't know what color they sent me. There are a few. There's like a rose gold. There's the standard silver one. All right, let's open this up and let's see what we got. Okay, and as always, there's a little box inside. So I'm guessing this is not the normal silver and black one because that always came in a black box. So an interesting thing about Dell's consumer PCs is that all that's in this box is the laptop itself. It's kind of weird because, you know, a lot of consumer PCs, it'll come in this big brown box and inside there's a nice, elegant, stylish box. Or you just buy the PC and it comes in that nice box, whatever. But not Dell. Dell's PCs come in this big box. But also in this box, we're going to find our charger and apparently some other stuff. We have a USB Type-C to Type-A adapter. So I'm not a fan of including adapters like that because I feel like if you need to include those adapters, then you probably should have just included a Type-A port on the machine or more Type-A ports on the machine. So this is a power adapter. Flips out like that. And the idea, obviously, many PCs do this, is that we have our power cord here. We could use one or the other. This is like an extension. Okay. So it's all white. So I'm guessing I have the white model. This is going to be a 45 watt power adapter, which is interesting. I feel like most Ultrabooks do come with a 65 watt adapter, but if 45 works, then 45 works. I've also found that in some cases, Dell PCs tend to complain when you use a non-Dell charger or one that's not specifically the wattage that's specified. So I'm probably just going to use that one. Okay, so we see we have a nice padded top here. Very nice box. And yes, it is the white model as... Ooh, this is so nice. Here's the thing. Dell's XPS lineup is widely regarded as being some of the best Ultrabooks around. Okay? And they are. Here's what's interesting is that there's almost always a compromise with consumer laptops. So with HP Spectre X360, wonderful, beautiful devices, except they don't use precision trackpads. They use Synaptics drivers. So it's like a major flaw. So with the Dell, it was always that the webcam was under the display. So that's actually fixed now. So also in this box, of course, we've got a little bit of paperwork, some quick start stuff. There's the Ubuntu setup over here. If you've got the Ubuntu model, they do sell it with Ubuntu if you want it. So a couple things. There is no USB Type-A. Over here we have our two Thunderbolt 3 ports, and we have another USB 3.1 Type-C port. So it doesn't say Gen 1 or Gen 2. I'm guessing it's Gen 1. That's usually what it means if they don't say Gen 2. So that means 5 gigabits per second. And then on the two Thunderbolt 3 ports, it should be 40 gigabits per second. And then obviously you can also use that to power two 4K monitors or a single 5K monitor off of a single port. Okay, over here we have a battery indicator. And then over here we have our 3.5 millimeter audio jack and then a micro SD card reader. We have speakers on the sides. Okay, and now if we open this up, you can actually see that it has a textured base, and it's pretty cool. See, if the black and silver one, that one is still smooth. It's still that carbon fiber smoothness. So what we have here is actually like a woven glass. It's made from a single block of aluminum. So it's meant to be sturdier than other devices. By the way, I just love the white color though. This thing is just beautiful. It's the winner. I've reviewed many XPS laptops before, including last year's XPS 13, the last two XPS 15s, and the XPS 15 2-in-1. And they all came in that black and silver color, and I didn't like it. It just felt dull to me. And this is pretty sexy. So this is a clamshell, something you're going to want to be aware of. It bends back this far. They do make the XPS 13 2-in-1. Now, you're making sacrifices if you get the 2-in-1 because that uses the Y series processor, which is a 5-watt chip. And this is a full U series processor. It comes with Whiskey Lake. So this is the CPU that you would expect in any convertible or laptop. And so you're just going to want to be aware of that you get the performance with this. You get the convertible functionality with the XPS 13 2-in-1. And like I said, there's always that one big compromise with a lot of the flagship laptops because most convertibles don't have to use a Y series product. Y series is designed so you can have a fanless design. So you get a lot of super thin devices like Acer's Swift 7 might have a Y series processor, but it's you sacrifice a lot in terms of power. You know, this actually weighs in at 2.7 pounds. I gotta say, it feels a little heavier, which is it feels heavier than it is, but 2.7 pounds should be fine. Maybe it's just because it's so small. And the idea is, again, you look at the display, and Dell says you're putting a 13-inch laptop in the body of an 11-inch laptop. So that's a phrase that's really thrown around a lot these days because we are living in the age of shrinking bezels, and everybody says that their 14-inch laptop is in a 13-inch body, or their 13-inch laptop's in a 12-inch body, but Dell's actually saying a 13-inch laptop in an 11-inch body. Okay, so we can see, here's that woven glass base, and it's designed that way, one, to be stronger. It's also meant to be easier to clean, because remember, it's white, so it is going to get dirty. Okay, there's a weird error message on the screen saying Thunderbolt application is not in use anymore, and it can be uninstalled. We're just going to clear that. Obviously, I'm going to run a factory reset on this thing. Another thing that's nice is that you do have a full keyboard here. Is Dell Mobile Connect. I'm not interested right now. I'm going to say never because I'm going to run a factory reset anyway. Do you have a full-size keyboard? It's another thing that Dell sacrificed in at least the XPS 15 2-in-1. They called it a maglev keyboard. It was really shallow. I found it really uncomfortable to use. Okay, so let's just take a look at some of the specs that we have in here. Storage, 512. Guessing RAM is going to be 16. And yeah, 16 gigs of RAM, 512 storage, Core i7-8565U. That's Whiskey Lake. That's the latest from Intel in the U series. It's a 15 watt quad core processor, 8 threads, standard stuff. It's very similar to it's kind of like a second generation, 8th generation chip, where the first generation was called Kaby Lake R. And the thing about Kaby Lake R was that it was really just a 7th gen chip, except it was quad core instead of dual core. So these are like the real 8th gen chips. Okay, so we can see here, there's our tiny little webcam there. And I'm guessing that the low light is not going to be great because it is so small, but at least you do have it in the proper place, and it's really so much better. And Dell didn't have to make compromises to do it. So this thing, it's a lovely color for a laptop. Like I said, battery life indicator over here. So if we press this, that tells us how much battery life we have left. 2 Thunderbolt 3 ports. I just love the battery life indicator on Dell laptops. I just think it's a really cool idea. Over here, micro SD, USB 3.1 Gen 1 Type C. Okay, there's a fingerprint sensor in the power button over here. However, unlike devices from LG or Huawei, it's not actually going to... There we go. It's not actually going to scan your fingerprint when you boot it up. You will actually have to scan your fingerprint after the machine boots up. And Dell says that that's a security issue. And the reason it's a security issue is because there's a time limit where if Windows takes a certain amount of time to boot up, it's safely assumed that you could have walked away from your PC. And say it's like 7 seconds, right? That's their time limit. If it takes 8 seconds for Windows to boot up, they want you to have to scan it again. If they're able to get this machine started in 5 seconds, then they assume that you did not walk away from your PC. That's just that's not like their benchmarking number that they use, but that's just the example I came up with. So yeah, this is a lovely machine. It's beautiful. Has has a little bit of a chin there, but that's okay. The thing about machines like this and why it has an 80.7 screen to body ratio, whereas like the Huawei MateBook X Pro is 91%, is because of that chin. And the nice thing, though, is that it kind of props the display up a little bit because when you're typing in front of it, you're looking down at it. So I actually like a little bit of a chin on a laptop. So the screen is a 13.3-inch 4K display, Infinity Edge. It uses what Dell is calling Dell Cinema. So if we go into settings, we will see that it supports HDR. If we go to video playback, we will be able to stream HDR videos, right? And we can play with those settings later. So that's Cinema Color is the HDR, and then there's Cinema Sound, which is the sound quality, and then there's Cinema Stream. So Cinema Stream is like, it's using killer wireless, so it's basically, if you use that for gaming, what it does is it prioritizes network traffic for games. So now it's doing it for streaming video. And the Cinema Sound is using Waves Max Audio Pro. And it's meant to just have a really immersive experience. It's actually pretty good. I've used it before on other machines. As far as stuff that's installed, we have our usual Microsoft bloatware like Candy Crush and Cooking Fever. From Dell, not much. We have Dell Mobile Connect, which is actually pretty good. What that does is it syncs your phone with your PC. So you can send and receive text messages, make and receive calls, and you should be able to mirror your phone as well. I'm going to play with it because I want to see if it's been updated with some new features that you can mirror your screen. You can transfer files now as well, which is pretty cool. Okay, there's going to be Dell Support Assistant, one of those things, and it's Support Assist, yeah. That's funny because some other companies have similar names in their Support Assistant. So this is where you'll update all your drivers and such. Okay, and unfortunately it does have a separate app. All these companies want to have their own separate apps for this, and I'm not interested. I wish it all came through Windows Update, and then of course that goes through settings. Some Intel apps over here. Dell Digital, most of the stuff is just stuff you're never going to use. Dropbox promotion if you want. I think it comes with 20 gigabytes or something. Yeah, you get a free 20 gigabytes for a year. I should really just cash in on that because I'd get that 20 gigabytes every year with the amount of laptops I review. I can just keep cashing in the promotions. But I'm not going to do that because I'm a OneDrive guy and 20 gigabytes is really nothing. I do talk about the design a lot when I do these things because I really do think it matters. Some people think it doesn't matter. I think it matters that if you go to a Starbucks and you pull out your laptop, you want to catch some eyes. It used to be MacBooks that got that attention because they were the only that all aluminum block and that old silver MacBook design that's been cloned so much, and there's a reason it's been cloned so much. So like I have over here, this is the HP Spectre X360. And you see, this is dark ash silver with copper lux accents. It's beautiful, and honestly, I think we all deserve beautiful devices. Like, this is the Huawei P30 Pro, and it's beautiful. Don't you want to look at your device and say, like, wow, that's nice? Obviously, you also want to have that great experience when you're using it, and that comes from that 4K display with HDR and that that sound quality, nice keyboard. And I think this, and just the feeling of that textured bass, it seems like it's going to be a really pleasant device to use. I'm just really excited that they put the webcam at the top. And it might sound stupid because I think a lot of us really don't use our webcams. So it might sound like, who cares where they put the webcam? I'm excited, just like I used that example before of that same HP that has that doesn't have the precision trackpad driver, so it uses a Synaptics one, and that compromises the experience. And there's no reason for HP to do that, by the way. And most laptops have like that one thing about it that kind of compromises the experience, and it makes it a real pain. So Dell fixed their one thing, and as someone who reviews a lot of PCs, fixing that one thing actually really seems like an exciting thing, because that means it could be the perfect laptop. And I'm always looking for the perfect laptop. You follow my reviews, I'm always looking for the perfect laptop. I don't think I'm ever going to actually find the perfect laptop, because there's always a compromise between power and battery life and, stuff like that. But, the 4K display is going to affect battery life. If you want battery life, you get the 1080p model, sadly. So yeah, that's it for now, guys. I could just keep talking about this for a while, but I'm not going to. I'll have a review on this in about a month, and I'm going to be using it until then. I'm Richard Neowen. Have a great night.